Chapter 8, The Ship, from Voyage with the Vikings. Imagination Station. The Ship. Patrick finished his meal and stood up. "Come on," he said. "We've got to leave the church. The sunstone isn't in here." "Are you nuts?" Beth said. "I think we should wait for Leaf. We can't go out alone if Eric finds us." "If Eric finds us," Patrick said, "he'll lock us up. What's the difference? Aren't we locked up now?" Patrick's way of thinking didn't sound right to Beth. "But," she said. "And what about Mr. Whitaker's friend?" Patrick said. "He's going to be locked in a tower if we don't find the sunstone. Remember the note? To save Albert, I need a Viking sunstone before the new moon, or he will be locked inside Lord Darkthorn's tower." Beth shook her head. "I want to help, but it's too dangerous. I'm staying here." She crossed her arms. "Okay," Patrick said. "See you when I get back." The door closed behind him with a thud. Patrick stepped out into the sunlight. He blinked. There were 24 or so Viking men marching on a path. 4 of them carried a long wood beam. It was wrapped with ropes. Patrick guessed it might be the ship's mast. It would hold up the sail. The rest of the men carried small wooden chests or barrels on their shoulders. Bundles were tucked under their arms, oars were strapped to their backs. Patrick watched the crowd. Eric the Red was not among them. "Excuse me," Patrick said to one of the men. "Where is Leaf?" "He's at the shore," the man said. "He's getting the ship ready. Isn't that what a good captain does?" "And Eric the Red?" Patrick said. "He's gone home," said the man. "He says he hurt his shoulder, but if you ask me, he's afraid to sail. He's too old." Patrick looked at all the stuff going to the ship. What if a sandstone were in one of the chests? I keep saying sandstone, and they're in Greenland. Where's their sand? What if a sunstone were in the chests? Since Eric wasn't around, Patrick felt brave. He would go to the ship. He had to take the risk. The man tossed a bundle to Patrick. "Here," said the man, "carry this for me." The bundle was a bedroll made of reindeer skin. Patrick walked with the Norseman the half-mile to shore. The Viking ship was very close to the land now. A long plank of wood stretched from the ship's side to the shore. The plank had ropes tied to it so it wouldn't move. Leaf shouted orders for the sailors to load the ship. Patrick stayed at the end of the line. He didn't want Leaf to see him. He scanned the ship for Eric. The sailor had been right. The old Viking wasn't there. Men who carried the mast walked up the plank first. Then the other men took chests, bundles, and barrels aboard. The cargo was neatly stowed in rows. The oars were laid next to the sides of the ship. Patrick followed, glad he had a bundle to carry. As long as he was helping, the men seemed to accept him. Soon, most of the men gathered to set up the mast. A group was using ropes to raise the sail. Others were placing braces around the beam. No one was near Patrick. Now was his chance. He looked over more of the bundles. They were all just bedrolls. Some had extra clothes inside. No sunstone. Patrick opened a few of the chests. Some were full of grain. Others had dried fish. He opened the largest one. It was full of animal furs. Sheep's wool, polar bear skins, walrus hides. Nothing that looked like a sunstone was inside. He began to wonder. "All this time I've been on the ship," he thought, "but there's no sign of the Imagination Station. Where is that red button? Is the machine broken? Does Beth have to be with me?" Then a sudden noise broke into his thoughts. "Stop, thief!" a sailor shouted. Patrick looked up from the chest of furs. Everyone was staring at Patrick. "Captain," said the sailor, "a boy is stealing furs." The sailor came up to him. He grabbed the edge of Patrick's silver cape. "Look," he said, "he stole this fur cape." "It's not what you think," Patrick said. "This is mine." The men gathered around. Some of them pulled out knives. "Wait," said a voice. Leaf pushed through the crowd. The sailor took a step back from Patrick. Relief washed over Patrick. He looked up at Leaf. "I'm sorry," Patrick said. "I just wanted to see what was inside. I didn't take anything, I promise." Leaf said to his sailors, "I'll deal with the boy. The day's work is done. You may all go." but be here before dawn tomorrow." A cheer went up among the men. They ran down the plank to shore. "Where is the girl?" Leif asked Patrick. "Is she safe?" "I left her at the church," Patrick said. "Where you should be," Leif said. "Don't you understand what will happen now?" "No," Patrick said. "The people are going to the last feast before we sail," Leif said. "Great," Patrick said. "I love parties. This party is not for you. They worship the Norse gods like Thor. They offer sacrifices." Patrick gasped. "Idol worship?" he asked. Leif frowned at him. "That is why I wanted you and the girl to stay inside the church. It's the only place you'll be safe." Patrick took a deep breath. What if Beth had left the church? What if Eric caught her and took her to the ceremony? "We have to go back, Beth," he said. "Hurry." Patrick raced from the boat and back to the village. Leif followed close behind. They reached the church. Patrick threw open the door. "Beth!" he shouted, but there was no answer. Uh-oh, gotta find Beth.